Season 5, Episode 2, After You, is really a great episode. It's such a fun hang watching the history of the Arconia. I don't have to worry about clues. I can just sit back and watch these great characters.
Pay attention. The real trick is noticing the little things.
Wait. Show, are you telling me there are little things that are clues and I need to pay attention to it?
Pay attention to the small stuff.
Like Lester has a deck of cards he's shuffling on the Doorman desk. But then later we see him get a deck of cards from the nugget, we're told, from Charles. Is that what I'm supposed to be looking at?
Your job is to not miss one detail, no matter how small.
Small stuff. Okay, what small stuff, Show? You're telling me to look for small stuff. Well, there was that odd reaction when Roberta saw Oliver running off to talk to Teddy Demas, who she knows she has been intimate with behind her husband's back. Not miss one detail, no matter how small. What am I missing? I've watched this episode twice. What clue am I missing? Help me out, Show. Tell me, listeners. I need your help. Let's solve Only Murders in the Building, Season 5, Episode 2, After You. A look back at Lester's early days at the Arconia reveal how a young dreamer became a steadfast doorman, sacrificing his future to protect the residents from the building's secrets. We break down each episode for clues, suspects, and red herrings on the hunt to learn who killed Lester, who killed Nicky the Neck, whose finger is it? Spoilers for the first 4 seasons and these first 2 episodes of Season 5. If you haven't seen all these episodes, pause this video, look back fondly on the old times when pimps still dressed as pimps, and then come back and watch. Use the timestamp below to jump to the topic or subject that you want to listen to, and skip past things you're not interested in. Let's look at those credits because it's fun seeing Howard pushing Mrs. Morris, his mother, in her wheelchair. But what's great, did you catch it? Another Easter egg, Lester, his outline, his shadow is on the roof of the Arconia. I loved it. The closing credits, a lot of happy couples, Lester and Lorraine, and of course, Nicky the Neck and Sofia. If you're on YouTube and you enjoy these Let's Solve videos, please do me a favor, subscribe. It helps so much. Please give it a like, give us a comment. I need your help catching these small details. If you're on audio podcast, Stitcher, and Spotify, please subscribe there as well. Give the podcast a review and reach out to us on social media. We're at PHQ on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook.com/PHQ. Can't wait to talk to you. Because this is a special episode and it doesn't feel like there are a bunch of clues, instead I'm going to begin putting the elements together and what do we imagine happened on the night that Lester died. Based on what I've seen through 2 episodes, and I know the 3rd episode is out, I'll have a video about that coming out soon, and all of this may be disproven. If you've watched the 3rd episode and it disproves this theory, go down in the comments and tell me I'm a fool. I'm going to start by saying it feels like there are 2 options. Either the person who got their finger cut off is the killer, or there's a 3rd person. Let me go to that 3rd person possibility first. After a Saturday night in the basement casino, most of the crowd is left. There's Nicky the Neck, there's the killer, then there's the person who lost their finger. The person who lost their finger, they're angry. Maybe they're getting dragged away. They dig their fingernails into the poker table. That green felt, that gets up underneath their fingernail. But because of the fight, somebody has taken a meat cleaver and chops off their finger. If you look at the table, it almost looks like this mark here is from where the meat cleaver went in to the table, aka this could be where the finger was chopped off. The scuffle continues. Not really a mobster, Nicky the Neck intervenes in the scuffle. The killer chops into Nicky the Neck, killing him with the meat cleaver. I imagine Lester witnesses the murder. He runs up the stairs, he's in the lobby. He pulls out his cell phone. He's got to call the cops, right? But if he calls the cops, it'll be revealed that he knew about the illegal gambling den in the basement. What does he do? What does he do? What does he do? Lester runs out into the courtyard. The killer pursues him. He's running through Oliver's wedding setup. Lester, in his panic, accidentally drops the elevator crank. While Lester is running from the killer, I think he hears a bird in the courtyard, and that's why he looks up like this. Lester, I believe it's Lester's hand, reaches into the fountain and grabs this bobbing little bird toy. I brightened it up as much as I could, that's what I believe it is. What is this little bird toy that was floating in the fountain? Is that the small thing we have to find? Do I need to watch the episode again and see if I can find it? What do you think? The killer grabs the elevator crank, cracks it on Lester. Lester is killed by a piece of the Arconia. His life ended by the Arconia. Very tragic ending. Lester falls into the fountain, or is put into the fountain. The killer grabs the crank and leaves. Okay, now let's look at the option that the killer is the person who had their finger chopped off. Maybe their finger gets chopped off by Nicky the Neck. They grab the cleaver and then kill Nicky the Neck. We'll see. What do you guys think? Is that how the night went? If you're on YouTube, go down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe. Let's get into it. Now, before we run down the suspects, you know what we need to do. Let's see what episode 2 taught us about the victims. First up, Lester. R.I.P. Lester. We love him. He was working at this desk for 32 years, filling up his ledger. He may have been a little delulu back in his youth, but he kept it together. Lester trains under Doorman George, and George is really the person who brings Lester into Nicky the Neck's criminal activity. George was Nicky the Neck's person. George hands off Lester to Nicky the Neck. Kind of terrible, right? These flashbacks are what make this episode so great, so wonderful. We see young Bunny, loved young Buddy, baby Mabel, Teddy Demas with not Mrs. Demas. So good. Lester dreams of his acting career taking off, but fate got in the way, and fate introduces him to the love of his life, Lorraine. We see them meet. We see their secret wedding in the courtyard, at the fountain, underneath the stars. It's great. Lester notices his trainer George getting these envelopes of cash from Nicky the Neck. George teaches Lester the ropes. He gives him this crank to let people up into their apartments, make sure people don't ride those elevators up. Later, we see them updating the elevators. Is this the end of Doorman in New York? No, because right after this is when George introduces Lester to Nicky the Neck. In some ways, Lester has to do this. He has to do this. He has a wife and he has kids now, but it's a miserable life. He can't even go to anniversary dinner. Nicky the Neck tells him no. Now there's this look afterwards. We'll talk about Nicky in a minute, but you look at Nicky, does he feel guilty about doing this to Lester? I think that's what this look is supposed to imply. Lester has been given an Arconia ledger, and I think we should put together, I think what the show's trying to tell us, a page from the ledger ends up ripped out, torn out. There's something important on that ledger. We see Lester studying birds. We know he compared the residents of the Arconia to birds that kind of match their personalities. You would assume that's in the ledger, all these birds, and maybe we're almost going to have to go to the Audubon Society ourselves to learn about the killer. So many great things. Jumping to the night of Tim Kono's death. Lester and Lorraine listening to the early episodes of Only Murders in the Building. Lorraine saying, 1 murder in 30 years, that's not so bad. And then the cut to Lorraine saying, 4, I laughed so hard. Lester, he realizes he's stuck. He is old. His kids are out of college. Let the guy retire. So he pulls in Randall as an assistant. Randall has a dream just like Lester's dream. Will Randall succeed and become the musician he wants to be? Lester never got a shot. Okay, what did this episode teach us about Nicky the Neck? I already talked about how he's kind of a jerk, but maybe he feels bad about being a jerk. Nicky has some odd stuff when he hands Lester an envelope full of cash with more cash than usual. He's like, hey, spend some money on the missus, buy her something. He has this line, wives are like ravens. They go crazy for that stuff. Nicky comparing wives to ravens. Ravens are a lot of times associated with death. So should that mean Sofia and Lorraine should be where we're looking for these killers? What do you guys think? Go down in the comments and let me know. In addition to the great flashes back to Lester's final night, the episode also has these almost flash forwards. Like we see Mabel looking at a hand. I assume this is dead Nicky the Neck's hand. And this may be in the very next episode, episode 3. Who lost their finger? I don't think it was Nicky for whatever reason. Now let's look at the suspects. We have a new suspect in episode 2. I'm only mentioning this suspect because from the trailer and some promotional materials, we know she'll be a bigger part of this season. This character's name, once again, it's not in the episode, I don't think, but it's in the promotional stuff, is named Althea. She's a friend of Mabel's from her youth. If you watch the season 5 trailer, you know she's going to come around. thematically, Althea shouldn't be the killer. If this is really about new New York versus old New York, and Lester refers to himself as old New York, Althea, coming from Long Island, not really one side or the other, she doesn't really represent any of these. We talked about the character Romy last week. Romy, I don't think appears in this episode. In the last video, I said she kind of gives a Poppy Becky vibe, in my opinion, as she works for Mayor Tillman. One thing people have pitched is here in episode 2, there's a documentary being created about Doorman in New York City, and we hear a woman's voice asking the Doorman question. People are wondering, is this Romy making the documentary? Is she the one asking questions? And in fact, nobody is listed in the credits as the interviewer. Would that point a finger, the missing finger, towards her? Lester's wife, Lorraine, or as her friends call her, Rainey. She has dreams herself of being an opera star, and she apparently, according to Lester, got some movement and progress on that dream, but we don't know what else happened. One thing that's very interesting that I'm seeing people debating online is when Lester meets Lorraine, she's pushing a pram with theoretically 2 kids in it. Are these kids Lorraine's, or is she a nanny? I don't think you can tell from this episode. It would be very interesting if Lester married a woman with 2 kids already. Who would their fathers be? I don't know. Lorraine could have just been a nanny in this scene, and that's the way I would logically take it based on how Lester has talked about his kids before, but I don't know. Go down in the comments, let me know. What do you think? Randall's in the episode. We mentioned he has a dream. Is Randall going to suffer the same fate as Lester? And of course, Lester's fate really wasn't that bad. He had a steady job, had a wife who loved him, had 2 kids he loved, and was getting lots of cash without taxes on the side. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, the Nonna was not in this episode, but I want to talk about her briefly because I got this feedback from Rob Stevens who said, you never see Nonna's left hand. She's either wearing gloves or an oven mitt on that hand. Could Nonna have been the person who lost a finger? Oh my God, that would be tough. That would drive Nicky the Neck crazy if somebody chopped off his mom's finger. What do you guys think? Are we on finger watch for season 5? Sofia did not appear in this episode, which is very interesting. You would have thought she would have come to her husband's dry cleaning establishment or the casino, but we didn't see her. But I got this great feedback from a couple of people. I'm going to mention this one from, hopefully I pronounce this right, Nahalina 3000. They wrote, Sofia said had. The podcast trio asks Sofia in episode 1 if the finger was her husband's, and Sofia answers that her husband had very hairy hands. That's past tense, had. I brought up the closed caption so you can see it. She definitely put her husband in the past tense, even though she always asked Charles to find her husband. Is this a clue? Is this a red herring? Is this just a figure of speech, meaning my husband had hairy hands and then he had them permed or whatever? What do you guys think? I have put Sofia as my number 1 based on the trailer, but we really don't have much to go on. What do you think? Now, Ursula, as far as I could tell, did not appear in this episode, even though she's the Arconia building manager, but she did appear in the episode. The podcast trio think Lester has been killed, so they create a murder board. And underneath the who in the murder board, there are 3 photos. There's Ursula, Uma, and Howard. Now, I know they don't have many clues, maybe they're just the only photos they have, but how would you feel if you were Howard and they think Lester's been killed and they put you under a who question mark? How would Ursula feel? How would even Uma feel? From what we've seen, Uma had a great relationship with Lester. It seemed like Howard did too. I don't know. This is crazy. What do you think? Now, Uma was under that who. Uma, perfect in all moments of her life. Howard, oh boy, was this tough. This whole episode was really tricky to figure out what age people were supposed to be. Was that supposed to be angsty teen Howard pushing his mother through the Arconia lobby? That mother who's demanding grandkids and that Howard find a girl? Later on, and I don't know if this is the correct reading of it or not, but later on it felt like his mother supported him coming out of the closet. She said Howard is the G in LGBT. Hopefully that was supportive. I don't know. We later see Howard's mom being wheeled out and Howard crying. Tough. Oliver, what a scamp. Even when he's supposed to be, I'm going to guess maybe 30 in the scene, maybe 40, who knows, where he tries to slip and sue the Arconia because he placed a bid on a unit there. And in the end, Lester says he'll try to help him. What did you guys think of this look that Roberta gets when Oliver goes and talks to Teddy Demas? Does Roberta feel guilty because she thinks Teddy Demas might tell Oliver about their past? Who knows? What do you think? Charles Hayden Savage. Now, having Brazos groupies, that's great. But giving the worst Christmas present ever, a headshot, that is terrible. Now, also, in a form of realism, if Charles was the star of a hit TV show and he had any sort of sympathy for this young doorman who wants to be an actor, he certainly, you would think, could have gotten a bit part for Lester on Brazos, but apparently he didn't. In fact, all he gives is a deck of cards. Does that deck of cards from the Nuggets become the same deck as Nicky the Neck? I wonder. Westy Mabel Mora. Young Mabel, and then just young Mabel, both perfect. Seeing young Mabel with, I think that's pretty sure, a Hardy Boys book in her hand when she's been caught by George because she was in the closet behind the doorman desk. Just perfect. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, it's time for our crazy tinfoil hat theory. This week, I'm going to go to what I was talking about earlier. New York versus Old New York. Based on the way this show is, you would assume that the killer would not be from Old New York, somebody trying to hold on to the past. It has to come from New York, right? Somebody who's kind of dismissing the past, dismissing the Arconia. But what's crazy is I don't think we've met a character yet who is dissing the Arconia, unless it's the mayor and his aide, Romy. What do you guys think? So, based on what we've seen so far, I don't see anybody who would represent that killer of New York. I know we're going to meet some people from the trailer in episode 3. What do you think? Give me your New York killer. And maybe, heck, give me your Old New York killer who's maybe killing to keep New York old. What do you think? Let's hear it. I've asked you so much. Hey, let's get to your feedback. Jillian Page had this fun note. She wrote, 5 podcasting brothers for season 5. Just like in season 4, when the podcast trio was negotiating with the movie studio, they kept saying, 4? Oh, that's so good, Jillian. Love it. Shiny Hunter Soul wrote, I know this is a shot in the dark. If they go to a 6th season, I believe Uma or Howard will be the next victim. Oh, no. Do not depress me. Oh, my goodness. Nolan wrote, going from previous seasons, the past 2 seasons had actors from Broadway that ended up playing the killers, Wesley Taylor and Jin Ha. By that standard, the killer will be Althea, Beanie Feldstein. I don't believe Althea is the killer, but it's interesting to point out. Nolan actually says he thinks the killer will be the mayor. Boy, if the mayor is the killer, I mentioned how the current mayor, the actual current mayor of New York City, is in some scandals. Boy, if the show makes the mayor the killer, that election's going to be tough. A great Double L loyal listener who always gives incredible feedback, The Art of Intuition, wrote, I want Harrison Ford to be the voice of the robot. Boy, that makes much more sense. Very good. The Art of Intuition also said, I do agree that Lester's body on display in the building lobby is very sus. Extremely. Thank you so much. Our last bit of feedback is from Caro Joso, who wrote, I don't think the killer is the up-and-coming doorman Randall, but Randall is giving way too intense vibes. I'm looking forward to going down this caper with you. I give episode 1 a 9 out of 10 BDBPs. Bubba does Brando perfectly. Oh, I gave you an impersonation that you should refuse. Thank you so much. Keep your feedback coming. Once we don't have so many episodes coming out in 1 week, I'm going to really dive into your feedback and present all the best stuff. The next podcast is going to be about Season 5, Episode 3, entitled Rigor. The trio stumbles upon a crucial piece of evidence and promptly compromises it. With time running out, they scramble to solve the mystery before the police close in on them. You've made it to the end of the video, so if you're on YouTube, go down in the comments and say you made it to the end. And in the comments, leave the secret password for this episode, elevator crank. That lets me know you watched to the end. I'll talk to you in episode 3.